Hey guys, welcome to Compcast. My name is Jaws. This is a podcast that I tried to start a long time ago, but I'm kind of reinvigorating it considering a lot of the EU players are starting moving over to NA, and I thought what better opportunity to kind of get a few on and talk about their journey and how they got into esports and how potentially they end up in Overwatch League. I've got JkAru, formerly known as JkLol, from the EU. I'm from the UK more specifically. So how you doing, man? How's it feeling?
I'm pretty good. Yeah, I'm formerly known as JkLor, but that name's a bit too cringy, so I had to change it. But yeah, I used to play EU contenders with SMC, and now I'm NA contenders with Montreal.
And your esports career kind of started like out of nowhere almost, especially for us, because you came straight into contenders. You were hovering around the like open and then trial, and now you're zipped off to NA almost
Yeah,
instantly with
it's very
Montreal
fast.
Rebellion. Yeah, I mean, how did you initially get into esports as a whole and get into Overwatch?
Mm, well, I mean, I got into Overwatch probably in like when the beta came out on console. I played it on fucking PS4, so I wasn't much of a. I never really owned a computer before, like a PC or anything. I was always just playing games casually. And then Overwatch, I found it really fun, and my friends were convincing me to get a PC because they're all going to get ones as well. So I was like, yeah, I'll get a PC. And then the first thing I got is Overwatch, and then I started playing a lot. But like, I never really wanted to play it professionally. I just enjoyed ranked. I was like a Ryan one trick on ranked, and then but I was like diamond. I wasn't very good.
Were you
And then I
diamond on
stopped.
console as well?
No, on console I was even worse. On console I was I
Oh,
was like gold. uh,
Jesus.
I was very bad at the game on console, and then I was very good at Rhine for some reason on the PC. But then like I stopped playing for a few months because of IRL shit, doing A levels and stuff. And then my friend convinced me to come back and play again, and he had a team he was playing with in NA, like they were quite like a tier 4, tier 5 team.
Okay.
And he convinced me to start playing with them, so I played with them, and then the rest is history from there. Started
Wow.
playing with a tier 5 NA team, and then
How
like a year and a half later,
Uh,
contenders. So
your profile must be like your actual main profile on your main account must be looks super weird going from
it does.
diamond on one season all the way up, right?
Well, it's a improvement. Every season is improvement.
Yeah, that's
That's
pretty
what I
cool.
always thought the best thing about, or the best, probably the best looking thing about my profile and my journey is just how it's gone from pretty much nothing to where I am now. I've improved very very fast, which is pretty good.
Well documented improvement from season to season. That's pretty
Yeah,
insane. I know there's a small bit of stigma, especially when I guess it's still around, depending if you got an open
yeah.
profile or whatever. But there's a small bit of stigma. It's like, oh, this guy was diamond like 5 seasons ago. What the hell?
This
Why
guy
isn't
was
my?
Diamond season 2.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. It's like,
people
oh,
always bring up season 2. Season 2 is my first ever time playing a PC game.
it
So
was literally 2 years ago as well, which is the biggest meme. So wow, this you can't improve. You have to be at least 4.2 in season 2 to be top 500 in like current season. That's
the way
kind of
I see it,
strange.
if people were like 4.2 season 2 and I have no idea who they are, that's just pretty sad. You've had all that time, like compared to me. If I was 4.2 season 2, then I'd be out by now. If you looked at my level of improvement,
Yeah, well,
so
it's
if they were
continuing
there,
going up.
they should be high as well. I
I got a lot of flack as well from my account because I went from like I was plat in the early seasons. I was still playing like a variety of games where I started casting, and then I really like started hardcore grinding the game, and then it kind of same as yours. It was like platinum, and I was diamond almost every season. Then kind of moved up master, and then GM, and then just this season eventually hitting top 500. But it's kind of
nice,
the
nice.
stigma is still there. It's very frustrating, but I mean that's
To
just
get your
how it
peak
is.
this season is quite must be hell to try and play
Yeah, against
actually
bunker.
care about ranked this season. It's not
I
very
mean,
fun this season.
it's I still find it fun. Like it's a bit more difficult to find it fun when it's not perma goats or like when there's dive and stuff too. I didn't play like Super ISR when it was dive, which kind of sucks. I really started like moving my
Same
way
with
up
me.
in goats and whatnot. And it's right now is a lot of bunker. It does kind of suck sometimes on like maps like Paris, like Havana and stuff. But when you actually get 3-3 or when you get actual like dive is way
Yeah,
better. But that's like
it's
50%
really
of the time.
it's really fun when it's divey dive, especially because I can just hard force Winston and I can play my favorite hero
Oh yeah.
and win the game. because I have a pretty high win rate on him, even though it's bunker only.
To be fair, I think if you do, especially if you're a main tank, if you force, like, I'm going to force Orisa this game, I'm going to force Ryan this game, I'm going to force Winston, like, the rest of your team, more often than not, I found just kind of follows. I play
Yeah.
support, so it's like a lot less flexibility in what I can kind of play. It's like Ana, Zen, Lucio. It's like, okay, I can sometimes take Mercy, I guess. But if you're a tank player, it's like, okay, I'm going to play this, you guys are going to follow. And
Mm,
it's pretty easy.
if I
Some
pick
of the
Winston,
times.
people always go, "Can you just go Orisa, please?" I'm like,
It's free SR, though, some of the
"Please, bro."
time, to be fair.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just not fun.
Yeah.
And I mean, for me, it's not for SI. I have like 52% win rate on Orisa, and I have 64 on Winston. So I think I'd rather play Winston.
Oh, that's actually sick. Comparatively to a lot of Winston, no, Orisa players that I'm seeing this season, and like a little bit of last season too, it's actually insane. Most other people have negative win rates on the other main tanks,
Yeah.
and then
I mean,
60
it's just
plus on
like
Orisa.
I can't be bothered to play when I'm on Orisa. When I'm on her, my everything just turns off, and I just get so bored.
It's because you're
She's such a
sitting there
boring hero.
behind
It's like
shield.
she was fun before last season and this season. She was fun. I enjoyed playing her because
Yeah,
it was so like she had her own meta on different maps and stuff. So it was fun. But now it's just like everyone plays her and it's just so boring.
every single map. Well, hopefully that'll change soon. I mean, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but like you said before, you've got well documented progress in terms of how well you're doing, not only in ranked obviously and in competitive too,
Yeah.
coming into contenders, and everybody was like, like from the UK it's fairly easy to know like most people that are high SR, but you especially, it's just like, okay, so you've got a little bit of action, open div and trials and whatnot, and then it's like, wow, instantly in contenders, instantly doing extremely well, and then we kind of waved goodbye already after one
Yeah.
season because you jumped straight over to NA onto an academy team too. I mean, Montreal is one of the better teams I think to be on if you're an academy team, because you have almost got a direct path into Overwatch League. You got to look at teams like Hurricane. It's almost, well, it is impossible to jump into London
Yeah,
Spitfire because they're
it is.
solidified with their Korean roster. That must feel pretty good. And how's that
Yeah,
felt,
it does.
skyrocketing your career so quick?
It's pretty weird because I mean, this time last year, uh, I could never, I never would have thought that I would have been going to NA. But I mean, I always had like a sort of plan, like take things slowly. I'll go to this first, and then I've a couple of seasons in EU and then NA. But I mean, it's just sort of it's decided to throw that plan out the window, I guess, and it's just gone straight to where I wanted to be in like a few months' time or a year's time. I'm just there now already. So it does feel pretty good, and Toronto is a pretty good team, and they have nice people managing it behind the scenes as well. So it does feel pretty good to be playing here.
I mean, especially with the new Overwatch League system coming in soon, the globalization, which is going to be pretty insane. I can imagine you're fairly excited for that as well, because
Yeah,
you're you're going to be able to interact with a lot more Overwatch League talent as well. Of course, you're still in EU, playing on NA servers. It does kind of suck with the whole ping issue. But have you noticed any big differences in how the game's played, or how, how the environment is compared to teams in EU?
well, I've always been an EU chauvinist, so I've always thought EU's a better scene. There's a better higher level to play. But after we saw what happened with Atlantic Showdown, I think we were in our own little bubble and we didn't realize how good the NA teams actually were. And I've noticed that playing more with NA, how good the teams actually are. Uh, it's mainly, I mean, as a team, I think EU teams are still better, like playing as a team. But the NA, because they can attract so much skill, the skill level of the players are just a lot higher than EU.
I mean,
Mainly because, but I mean, I will say these NA teams have got a lot of EU players, and that's probably
yeah, I was
why.
about. That's what I was about to say. Well, they got
But
half of their
that's
teams
what I
being
was saying.
EU.
They could they because they can attract like the best players from every region, so that's why their skill level is so much higher. Because EU is so like sort of grassroots, the teamwork and the what's the fucking word? The teamwork and the synergy is just so much better because of the grassroots nature of EU.
Yeah,
I
for
feel like.
sure. I mean, it's fairly scary when you have just especially with EU, like you said, people kind of coming in and like yourself coming in and instantly doing extremely well and then moving on very quickly. Sometimes it's a little bit harder to build player histories and build player stories, which is one of the reasons why I'm doing this as well, because
Yeah.
if and when, obviously, I hope you do move into Overwatch League. I think you're extremely good at the game currently, and I think you've only got, really, considering the amount of improvement that you made already over the course of a year, like I see Overwatch League for you on the horizon soon. But it's cool to get an in-depth look at how these players do come up, because EU, it is more, I'm not entirely sure on the viewer numbers, but I can imagine NA's viewed like a little bit more just because of
Yeah.
how it's a multicultural hotpot in terms of how many players there are from EU, from Korea, from other places too, because of all the skill that you say is just migrating there, because it's one of the best places to be currently. And I think one of the main reasons why people would watch NA is to see all that developing talent move in. Have you yourself experienced any of the um well, like the fan side and the kind of cultural difference with NA streams and NA viewers watching? Because I can't imagine too many NA players or NA teams and just anybody watches EU. It's a bit of a weird time zone, but I know a lot of people do watch NA. Do you think there's a big difference in that front as well?
Um, I think it's similar to this thing with, like I was saying, with the grassroots nature of EU. The same people will watch EU contenders for years or months. It's like because everyone sort of knows each other, so you're kind of you're watching EU to watch your friends play. In NA, I feel like it's more like a player and fan sort of thing with watching contenders. So it's a lot more closely knitted in EU
For sure. For sure. Yeah,
compared to NA.
I definitely agree. I think when every time I tune in when in EU, when I'm like not casting it, and I look at the chat, I'm like, I see the same people all the time. Like it's cool.
Yeah.
It's nice to see, and it is really grassroots, and that's what's one of the best things about it, I think. Now, who do you look up to in esports? And I know, like you said before, you haven't really been around esports for a whole bunch of time. You've really only
Yeah.
just come in terms of the length of time you've been playing and been competing in comparison to a lot of other players. You look at people like Numlocked, Haffy, who have been in TF2 and then moved over to Overwatch. Is there anybody inside the scene that you currently look up to in that regard?
Well, I could start with who I first started watching. Like first ever stream I
Yeah,
started watching.
for
I
sure.
started watching SQC back in the day, like when still had his normal haircut and he was sounding more French. I was watching him then because I enjoyed watching him play Winston and Ryan. Because I'd first this is when I first just started playing Winston because I was a Ryan one trick, and then I started playing Winston instead. Uh, so I enjoyed watching people play Winston. So XQC was probably my first person I looked up to when I played. And then I started watching NV games when they were big. So I looked up to people like Coco,
Right,
uh,
right.
and then but then I mean they've sort of dropped out of the pro scene recently. Those two, but
Did you watch Apex then in that for their first kind of
I watched. I mean,
domination of
I
previously?
really wasn't too big into the pro scene. I just sort of
Right.
like to watch some games. So I watched a few games from Envy. Uh, but then when Overwatch League started and I started taking Overwatch seriously, I looked up to people like Fate. I thought he was sick. Uh, Mano as well. Miro, of course, showing the world how to play Winston.
Oh yeah.
Uh, but more recently now, I'd say I look up to people like Gushui and Gesture. I think they're both pretty good players, especially Gushui's Winston.
Oh, it's easily the best or one of
Yeah.
top two minimum. I mean, there I can't really name another main tech. Maybe Gesture, competing for like the best Winston currently. Is
I
that
think
someone you'd?
Gushui is the best Winston, definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Is
Is that
it,
someone
but
you'd want to play against as well then?
yeah, definitely. I mean, I like to. I watch whenever they're playing. I watch them to see how he plays as Winston. It is pretty enjoyable to watch. But I mean, I would love to play against them as well. That'd be great.
Is there
Winston v
anybody
Winston.
outside of esports that you kind of look up to, or maybe inside of esports, but outside of the Overwatch in general, like games from like League of Legends? I know a lot of people, and I'm pretty sure they still look up to people like Faker, Doa, Do, yeah, Do, I, Do, no. Dopa is what I was trying to say. I was thinking of Doha, and then I was also thinking Doha, but I guess you could look up
Yeah.
to Doha as well. Is there anybody outside of League or outside of Overwatch and esports in general that you look up to as well?
Um, Not really. I don't. I literally don't have any. I've never watched any other esport. I've never really played any other game. So I'm pretty much a Overwatch one trick.
Oh,
I've never known never known anything else. Never. I don't know any other pro players or anything. So
no, that's fair. I mean, I think it's a lot of people's first esports, so considering the age of some players as well.
yeah.
It is pretty insane. I mean, you look at people like Sugar Free, who's I think he's 15, 14 or 15. Like he's an incredibly
Yes.
young dude. This is definitely his first esport when it comes
Same with
down to it.
Ultraviolet on Montreal. He's pretty young
Sure.
as well. Like
Yeah,
15.
actually insane. So you're kind of in the same boat where it's your first esport kind of thing, and I mean, making it this far already, it's looking pretty good. Quickly steering the conversation towards meta. You talked about how Winston's kind of your favorite hero. What's your favorite meta been while being in competitive, or even outside of competitive?
Ooh.
What has it been to play?
Um. Well, I mean, Goats has been probably the best. I would say probably not my favorite meta, but the best meta. So like the best sort of in terms of team play, in terms of variety. I mean, I know people will joke like, "Oh, it's goats," but like, there's so many different ways you can play it, so there's quite a lot of variety. Uh, and I just enjoy it a lot more. It's all about teamwork. It's not really about individual skill. I mean, there's a degree of skill, but it's mainly down to teamwork and positioning, etc. But I mean, I think my favorite one to play was for a brief while. Floats was meta for like a few weeks.
Yeah.
That was my
Oh
favorite
yeah.
meta. And if not that, then it would be Super Kree comp, which is like the Winston Diva Break Kree Zen Lisa.
Oh okay.
That was a pretty good comp. I mean, that wasn't played that much. It was played for like a few weeks as well, like floats. Uh,
Yeah.
but I'm praying for the day floats becomes hard meta, but I don't think it ever will. So
I mean, not the way it's currently looking. I mean, we're
yeah,
looking more in EU specifically. Obviously, it's way more bunker than I think we've ever seen ever, just because of people like teams like Clockwork Vendetta, who are an interesting team to watch. Let's say that. I mean, they're a pretty fun team to watch. A lot of people do tune in to watch their games because of their like one trick comp. But with bunker being more solidified in the meta, we spoke a little bit about it before we started the podcast, but it's mainly bunker on Q, Orisa, Hog, and then maybe Torb, but Orisa, Hog, and then you pull hook, pull hook, pull hook, and you hope you kill people. Is
yeah.
that a meta you see lasting at all? Because it's the
Um,
consensus right now is that it's not liked at all, especially in pro
no one likes
play.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, if it depends on if this 2-2 log leak is an actual fact. If they bring it in, it would be a matter of weeks until they realize those heroes are broken and then they'll nerf them.
Yes.
Because those heroes, I mean, the pull hook is just ridiculous. It's so one, it's broken. Two, it's inconsistent. It's like how Ryan Shadow used to be. It was just inconsistent. It was broken, and it was people didn't really like. It took forever for them to change it. I hope they don't doesn't take them forever to change this. But Orisa is broken, Hog is broken, May's broken, Torb's broken. There's so many heroes who are just complete. Like it's to me, it's so obvious that they're overpowered.
Right.
But there's the changes need to be made. The changes that need to be made are so obvious as well. Like I don't see how the devs like with May, she's instantly balanced. If you just reduce the time of her ult by a few seconds, she's instantly balanced.
You
Her
mean
ult,
what do you mean the
her
time
ult,
of a roll? Alt charge rate?
like it lasts too long. Her ult
Oh,
lasts
I
way too
see.
long. Nothing can counter it. Trans, it lasts longer than trans. B, it lasts longer than B. It's like nothing. The support ults, which are meant to counter aggressive ults, like it doesn't counter that.
Yeah.
Which I think is dumb. Torb ult, same thing. It lasts way too long.
Yeah, okay, Turbo, I will 100% agree with you. That molten core sits on the floor for actually ages. It's
I think it's
insane.
like 13 seconds or
Yeah,
something.
that's
And
it's crazy.
if you shoot it up into the air, it lasts for longer because it doesn't go away until it lands on the floor. Like that's when it
Yeah.
starts going away. Like they just have to reduce the time with his ults, and then the heroes will be balanced. Maybe not Torb. His E's pretty busted, but
Izzy is pretty broke, to be fair. Like, good Torbs. That's what I've been told. Someone, I don't know who said it to me the other day, but I think it was in Q. They were just like, well, play Torb, you get easy wins. And he's like, look at my profile. And he's not like a Torb one trick by any means, but most played hero this season was Torb, but he had like a 75% win rate
I mean,
over
it's done.
God
You
knows how
can
many
just,
hours. 8
you
hours?
could just walk past an Arista shield after she's for the fight, press E, and she's too
Yeah.
short. She's dead. It's like
Yeah.
it's. I didn't see how it's like. At least make the hero hard to play. That's just easy. Anyone can do that. Like,
The thing is, with 222 lock, and like you said, it will be meta because 222 fits it perfectly. Plus, then we've seen what Hog, Orisa, Widow, Mercy, and Mercy's getting stronger now as well because you just sit behind shield and then you damage boost, and then you can even
I'm not
damage boost
sure if it
Torb.
meta though. I think hard dive will make a return if that becomes meta. And I
Okay,
think hard
so
dive
old
beats
school
that.
dive, like Tracer,
No,
Genji, that
maybe
kind of.
maybe something with Doom. Maybe I
Okay.
feel like Doom Sombra or Trace again or Summer Genji, but I feel like or even Trace Genji. I feel like people will relearn how to play hard dive if that becomes meta, because hard
Yeah.
dive counters that comp.
Yes. Yeah. I've seen most success when either this is again in comp or in trials or contenders or whatever, when people go spam shield but it's quad DPS or triple DPS, you got Farah, Hanzo, anything that spams the shield kills it, and then the dive heroes kind of dive in, you got Winston, Ball or whatever, and then they just disrupt as much as they can. But if 222 comes in, yeah, it's going to be way more strong because of the fact you can't have that triple DPS, you can't have quad DPS. So there's definitely pros and cons. Do you think it overall, like 222 lock, has a more pros than cons currently in the game, both in ranked and slash or competitive play as well?
I think it's I think for ranked it has more pros probably because you can set up role queue, which should be good for ranked, but
Yes.
just for competitive and just for the game in general, I think it doesn't suit the game. It's not what the game is meant to be, because the 222 is just going to make competitive play literally rock paper scissors. There's going to be free comps people play, and that's the
Okay.
only thing people will play.
Mm.
If you compare it to it now, how the competitive scene is now, there's like 10 different comps you can play, which people always play, like the DPS, goats, floats, Kree comp, uh, Sombra Genji, Doom Sombra. There's dive. There's so many different comps you can play, but it's all about let's see what they're running. Let's counter it with what we're playing, etc.
Hmm.
So like I think the way the meta is now, especially after watching a lot of Overwatch League recently, is it's very diverse, and I think bringing 222 now will just ruin the game. Or maybe not ruin the game, but it will set it back a few. Like it would be a big setback,
Right.
because I mean they've tried so hard to kill goats, and
Yeah. Way too.
goats doesn't get played as much, and you can get hard countered. It can get hard countered quite easily now by people who know how to play good DPS. You just have to give the people with some time to learn how to play DPS properly.
For sure.
Counter goats,
Okay.
and now it's done that.
So a counterpoint to that would be you want to retain player base within the game,
Yeah,
not in competitive, but like in ranked, in quick play. Obviously, quick play not really as much. Like people are going to play whatever. Quick play is got a higher. I'm not sure actually. It might have a higher player base. I don't actually have the numbers. Maybe it does. I'm not sure than ranked itself. But you want to emulate, and the best way to you want to emulate Overwatch League, and the best way to do that is Overwatch League and contenders, of course. But the best way to do that is emulate what's playing on stage or what's happening, what rule sets are
yeah.
on stage as well. Is you look way back in League of Legends terms, and you look at way back when the game was first released, back in season 1, season 2, and Riot said, "Hey, we want to let comps flow free. We want to see you play whatever you want in whatever position and do whatever you want." And then they kind of quickly changed their minds when a pseudo meta was
Yeah.
coming in and saying like, okay, we need support and a bot lane, like an AD carry, and then we need a jungler, we need a top lane, we need a mid laner. And that emulated then into their professional scene, and it kind of carried on from there. I think there will be a little bit of hardship going into 222 lock if it comes about, because none of the heroes are currently balanced around that. But the argument for that is you can't split those Overwatch League and the ranked queue up, because it will be way too different and people won't be able to emulate what they see in the Overwatch League itself, and that will cause quite a big divide in that.
I just sort of agree with that. It's a risk. It's a touchy subject. It's because I mean the pro players, they seem like they don't really want it, the 222 lock,
Yeah.
but like everyone else sort of wants it. It's just either way, I'm gonna play Overwatch, so it doesn't. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. But
Yeah.
from whatever, because if you were watching the UK, I know you were casting the UK trials. They were sort
Yes.
of forcing us to play 222, and I mean that was pretty fun. I was having fun, but I'm not sure if that were people were actually play dive or double sniper. I feel like it would be a lot less fun what people will actually play if the 222 log comes out. But
I
I
think
know
it will take
that's
months to sort it out, like sort the situation of how the heroes are going to play with each other, because and how they're going to interact with each other, because 222 is so different from whatever comp you want, and it will feel as big of a change, if not more, than the hero limit, which was way
yeah.
back when. Like
I remember that.
double Lucio, double Winston, Tracers. Like it was a little bit ridiculous. And Aura bot Lucio as well, who just ran around not even doing anything, holding her, not even holding any buttons. Like you're just an aura bot. You're two of them, and then Winston's are almost unkillable, right? I mean, it's going
Yeah.
to be a big change, if not bigger. And I think it will take time for the devs to then look at the heroes, how they're performing in this 222, which might make ranked a little bit rough, but maybe the overall game benefits later down the line. We don't know.
Maybe they'll buff Winston.
Maybe they will, and you'll be happy. See,
I will be happy. I'll be a happy
positive
man if they buff
things
Winston.
can come out of this situation. So with this current meta, like you said, it's so diverse currently. And what's been a small topic that's been going around when I'm talking with other casters and players and whatnot is what is actually better right now in GOATs? Is it standard 3-3 with, we're seeing only a little bit of floats, but like standard 3-3 with Rhine, Briggs, then Lucio, Xayah, Diva, or is Sombra Goats like the new hotness? Because in my opinion, I think Sombra Goats is the new hotness, because if you can build Sombra EMP one per fight, which some Sombra players are starting to do, it overrides Goats completely. What's your opinion on that?
I think it's very situational and map dependent. But like maps where high ground, you can abuse high ground, and maps where if you're the attacker, I feel like summer goods is probably better than normal goods. But normal goods wins a neutral fight against summer goods 9 times out of 10. So neutrally, with no odds involved, normal goods can just rush through summer goods, easy win. But it's all about when summer farms EMP, of course. I mean, I think normal goods is still better, because if you're a good enough team, you can play around the EMP, make sure only one person gets EMP'd, or stun the EMP,
Right.
kill her before she casts it. It's like there's a lot of ways you can. I mean, I'm not saying it's easy. It's a lot
Yes.
easier
Yeah.
said than done. But there are a lot of ways you can counter the EMP or play around the EMP. So I still think normal goods is better than the summer goods. It's just you have to completely change whatever style you had when you're playing summer goods to just get your style has to become fuck it, let's just rush them and kill them. Like that's your
Sure.
style now.
I think a lot of players and a lot of teams haven't really. It's not that they're not clued up on that, but it's hesitation when facing Sombra Goats. We saw it a
Yeah.
little bit at Atlantic Showdown where Sombra Goats was run. The team that was just playing standard 3-3 would kind of refuse to engage or just play it slow like you normally would, instead of kind of rushing people down. And maybe that's why people think that Sombra Goats is a little bit better. The only reason I think it's better is because you're able to farm EMP so quickly off of massively high health targets that are fairly easy to hit, especially if a Diva gets hacked or the Rhine gets hacked or whatever. And then you can play like Doha does, just EMP every single fight.
I mean,
But maybe
I
he's an
think
exception.
I think it's pretty good still. It depends on how much you can get away with. If you notice the team isn't rushing you,
For
then
sure.
yeah, just for sure play summer goods all the time. Like we played summer with SMC, we played summer goods a few times on like Gibraltar,
Yes.
with Morphic on Sombra. Uh, if you notice teams aren't punishing you, then you just hard pocket your Sombra, you farm EMP every fight, and you win. It's 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 a very easy way to win if you can scout the team pretty well.
Now your current team, Montreal Rebellion, how is the atmosphere been, and how is it actually playing over in North America? Because there is going to be a massive meta shift in terms of what you're going to be playing and whatnot. What is the current comp, and how well have you been doing on that comp, or how many comps are you kind of practicing currently? Because I do see a world where Contenders is going to shift into mirroring Owl a little bit later on. I think teams are going to have to start practicing the 2-2-2 if it comes in, or anticipate that 2-2-2 lot coming in and start playing different comps and kind of forcing that in their scrims. Is that something that you guys have been kind of thinking about later down the line, and what kind of things are your team willing to run, and can they run currently?
Well, I'm not sure I'm at liberty to
Obviously,
say
you can't leak anything, just of
to
course.
say any leaks, but of course you saw if you saw Logix went to Owl, and Naga's been released from the team, so we're bringing 2 new players, which will probably be announced in a week or so. But
Nice.
when you see them, maybe you'll have some thoughts on if we've been preparing for 2-2-2, or and maybe you'll because we're playing tomorrow our game. You can
Right.
see what we're going to play. Uh, we've been practicing pretty hard a certain style, so hopefully it's
Okay.
going to be a pretty easy game tomorrow. But
Yeah, I realized that question might have been not
yeah,
loaded, but that was a bit of a weird one to ask, because
I
it's
haven't
not
got.
really
It's not.
information
I'm not
you can
playing
dive.
with an unsigned team now. I can't
Yeah.
leak anything.
Yeah, that question was a bit bad. I'm not gonna lie, my bad on that one. What would be your ideal kind of meta to run into in 2-2-2? Because I can imagine double sniper, things like that are going to come back. But for yourself, what is the kind of ideal? Let's remove bunker from this
Yeah.
equation and pretend that doesn't exist.
Okay.
What would your
Any meta
ideal
with
meta be?
Winston, I think I'll be fine. I mean, I don't mind double sniper. I didn't play it that much in pro play. Like, I mean, I was playing on like a tier 3 team when tier 3 team when double sniper was meta, and I wasn't very good at that time, so uh, I didn't really find it fun. But I feel like now, because I'm so much better at Winston, I feel like I would find that fun. It would be pretty good. But it will kind of contradict my style of play with Winston, because my style is
Right.
to just farm primal, then go in deep. It's always been my the way I play him. But against double sniper, it's sort of you have to get set up and protect your snipers, and then just get all the aggro from their snipers. So they're looking at you, and it allows your snipers to move up and get picks and stuff. That's like how you play, which is sort of not my style, but
Okay. That's definitely the comp that I think will come in a little bit more
yeah,
hot than anything else personally, because just how strong snipers are, not even just in the current meta, just Widowmaker just being an absolute powerhouse at doing almost anything when left untouched for a little while, especially at the level of game we are at currently, because always at the start you're going to get these superstar players, and he's still technically a superstar, but it's people like Sire Player, who's just an absolute god on things like
yeah.
Widowmaker. But as the game evolves, you're going to get way better as the time goes on. So a couple of years down the line, we're going to get even more people, and the skill level is just going to keep rising. So I think that's why I think double sniper will come back just a little bit. And
I mean, it would be fun double sniper. I think it'd be refreshing to go from to this change up the comp a little. I mean, it's been like I mean, I enjoy Goods a lot, and I think it's the best meta, but it's been like a year.
yes, yeah,
I kind of want to play Winston now. Come on,
just more
get me off grind.
floats, please. Well, okay. So final little question is, you, like you said before, come up fairly quickly through Contenders and just in esports in general, landing yourself in NA currently. Is there anybody else in EU or in NA, to be fair as well, let's not leave those guys out, that you've kind of noticed that you're like, wow, this guy is the next hotness, this guy is upcoming right now, no one's really paying attention to him, I think
Yeah.
more people should keep their eye on him?
Well, in EU, there's 2 people in Samsung who I played in team with for a year. Slur and Kigasi. I was on all planned with them
Yes.
in Open Division. Uh, I think they're both pretty good. They just won their recent game. Slur is a beast in the Zen. Kigasi's a little less known. He's a pretty good Hanzo, pretty good Brig. I think they're definitely 2 to watch. Um, Miles is always kind of overlooked. He's pretty good on. He's a beast of a Widow. If 2-2 comes in, then his Widow's going to shine in EU
Oh,
definitely.
I hope so.
Uh, Molfig is one who what he got a lot of praise, but he stayed in SMC. He didn't get moved on to any NA team. I think Morphic will be looked at. All the guys from SMC, of course, Oberling, Gustav. That Gustav also is one who gets overlooked, but playing in a team with him, he's a very, very good Lucio, very good with comms. I can't really think of any other people really.
Anybody
There
in
was,
NA?
I'm still kind of a noob when it comes to knowing about NA people.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
KSP is playing with XL2. He's 222 comes in.
Oh yeah.
He's going to ours. That's all I can say. His widow is insane.
It's a little bit ridiculous. I was very, very disappointed to see little of KSP in the last couple of seasons, just because he did flex in for the
Yeah.
Widow maps. But he is one I think everybody should look at for the next Widow prodigy. That's for sure. Right, I think that's about it for us today. You can follow JkAru up there, JkAru19. I pointed, and I always do this, point to the screen, but you can't actually see where I'm pointing. JkAru19 on Twitter as well, if you guys are going to want to go follow him. Playing for Montreal Rebellion. You said your game is tonight, right?
Or it's tomorrow.
Technically tomorrow. Who are you playing?
Yeah, we're playing a Wave Check.
Oh, okay, well, there you go. Good luck in that game, and thank you for joining me, of course. And that'll be it. Signing off. Thank you, guys, and goodbye.